It's Trudeau versus truckers in a battle over Canada's COVID vaccine mandate that's gained worldwide attention. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is condemning the drivers who are currently blocking traffic to and from the U.S. in protest of the mandate. He's also refusing to meet with them, blaming their rhetoric. He says he prefers Black Lives Matter. Watch.
I have attended protests and rallies in the past when I agreed with the goals, when I supported the people expressing their concerns and their issues. Black Lives Matter is an excellent example of that. But I have also chosen to not go anywhere near protests that have expressed hateful rhetoric, violence towards fellow citizens.
Jillian, there was certainly that same level of critique from other movements like Black Lives Matter, where arguably outliers called for violence and the like, but all of a sudden the morality clause here prevents a prime minister from meeting with an economic backbone aspect of his country to even hear what those truckers have to say. Jillian.
The clip you just played, Emily, was interesting too, because his job as the prime minister is not just to meet with constituent groups with whom he agrees. His job is, in fact, to hear input from all sides, all industrial bases, particularly here, knowing that during COVID, truckers have really become frontline workers. They've been risking their health and lives since day one of the pandemic. According to the Canadian Broadcasting Company, the reality of these protests is that they have remained nonviolent, but over the weekend there was a small group of people that were found to be sort of behaving badly. They were urinating on war monuments. A couple of them, or a few of them, broke into a homeless shelter and kind of stormed in. But that's not the vast majority. According to the Canadians' own reporting on the ground of folks who were participating in this rally, it's kind of a false choice there that the Prime Minister set up. He easily could have met with the 90% contingency of folks, of the truckers who were there, that had legitimate complaints and were behaving, you know, within the bounds of the law.
And Kayleigh, the Washington Post tweeted earlier, the movement shares an affinity with the Trumpist, toxic, authoritarianist politics. Your thoughts?
Another gem from the far-left Washington Post. This is the age-old elites taking on the people. This is the left, once again, showing utter disdain for average, everyday, hardworking people that keep the country going. I mean, we're used to it here in America. We're used to Biden talking about Neanderthal thinking and Hillary Clinton, deplorable, irredeemable, and CNN saying, you know, if you support Trump, you're a rube who can't locate a country on a map, or Peter Strzok, smelly Walmart shopper. We're used to this attitude. And it's so unfortunate because the people you're looking at the screen, yes, you point out there are outliers, Emily. Sure, there are in any movement. But the people you're looking at on the screen are the people who kept the world going during COVID-19. They were essential workers. They kept driving their trucks, hardworking, good people. When Justin Trudeau was locked down, wherever he was locked down, along with the rest of the political class, these people kept working. And they do not deserve that kind of attitude from a prime minister who wants to just wholesale endorse Black Lives Matter, who we know Hawk Newsom here in New York threatened violence and bloodshed if Eric Adams reassembled the crime unit. And ironically, one last point, there's a big scandal with Black Lives Matter. Apparently, they transferred millions of dollars to a charity in Toronto run by the wife of one of their co-founders to buy the communist mansion there for $6.3 million, the equivalent of that. So he wants to wholesale endorse this movement. Maybe he should read a little bit more about the movement he's wholesale endorsing.
Quick note, Kayleigh, we don't know where the Prime Minister of Canada is. He was taken to a secret undisclosed location over the weekend by his security team after he pushed back against the truckers. He's not in Ottawa, where his home is.
Well, wherever they were keeping him, he got COVID. He was under restriction and he got COVID, which is very sad. We hope he's okay, but was he wearing a mask? I mean, I have questions because there's so many laws coming from him.
That's right. And Trey, I want to develop Kayleigh's point a little bit for you. Her point about the fact that these truckers were essential workers. They absolutely continue the economy during COVID. And the rest of the world sees that, certainly the rest of the country. There was a GoFundMe that was established that raised almost $10 million, which was more than any political party raised last quarter. So it seems as Canadians are putting their money where their mouths are, they are supporting these truckers. They are supporting the fact that they have worked so hard for that country, for the global industry, and also for the fact that they are standing up for themselves and standing up for their own liberty. Trey, your thoughts?
Well, Emily, as you know, I'm a very simple-minded person, so I have to have these kind of bright line tests. Life is really complicated when you have to pick which side of protesters you're going to support and which ones you're not. One man's patriot's another man's traitor. But Prime Minister Trudeau, anyone can meet with people that they agree with. You don't need to be a leader to meet with people you agree with. Leaders meet with people with whom they disagree. And then you walk through the law. Emily, you're a highly trained lawyer. Does Canada have the authority, the power to mandate vaccines? Are there exemptions? I mean, these are sophisticated conversations you can have without resorting to violence.
And I think it's telling, Trey, what the GoFundMe, how it's described in the beginning, which says, we are a peaceful country that has helped protect nations across the globe from tyrannical governments who oppress their people. And now it seems, they argue, it is happening here, to the tune of, again, almost $10 million in supportive donations.